Okay, so let's come back to the point okay, so I'm saying select dialog has got items as the aggregation. Here we have made just a recapitulation of it. Here we have made another folder that's called as a fragment. Inside the fragment, we have a pop-up file that has got an extension fragment.xml. And I told you the use of the fragment is that it's a part of this view in which you are making the fragment. So we'll pass the name of the view as well. Let me just see how it works right now. So when we went to the fragment, this is how you construct a fragment. In that, you need a core library to create a fragment definition. This is how you started with. And besides that, you have other library like sap.m. We went to select dialog. One of the controls that could be used inside the fragment. You can use any of the tables or anything inside the fragment as well. I use a select dialog because we have used so many tables and those things. When we went to select dialog, we saw there is an aggregation items. That's a default one. Whether you want to put or you put doesn't matter. All right. And what can you put inside the items now? I can put any of the list item base classes inside it. So I'm not going to put list item base as a control, but I'm going to put the subclasses inside it, any of these things. So I'll fix like stand list item. I'll take the stand list item and place it inside the items over here. And then I'll pick up some properties, the stand list items that we did in the past. Some of it like info, and because you don't want to flood it with a lot of things inside it, and title. So I can just come over here and say info, and I'll say title. All right. And items is the aggregation that's bringing a lot of it. So I'll pass items on the top as well over here. Items is the aggregation for the list item also. Items is the aggregation for M table also. You might have seen that. You see the same items aggregation for table, the same items aggregation for select dialog over here. Because who is bringing all the items to the select dialog is the items. In the info, now over here, I'll pass the same thing, the same kind of a thing over here like this. The relative path over here. Okay. Supply table, relative path. And to the info, I'm going to pass something like ID. You know, the same kind of a thing that I'm doing. ID. And put that in the frag info over here. And for the title, I'm going to put name, like this one, contact person name. All right. Now, what's going to happen is that when you click on it, a table will come, kind of a pop-up will come. Which pop-up will come? This pop-up will, where is the pop-up? This fragment pop-up will come up, okay? And that fragment will consist of all the IDs alongside in one part, or let's say we don't have it right now. So a pop-up will appear in front of you on the view on which you're making it. And that pop-up will show the list of all the contact persons. So what will happen is that on click of it, a square size stuff will come. And there you will be like choosing the names, let's say John Doe or whatever the name list of names you have got, like 10 names you have got. You can click and pick any of the names for your input box. All right. The purpose is to make it, easier for somebody to input the items in it. let's say if you were to type the things inside it, then it would be like, you can type anything over there. But what if you get a choice and you're bound to the choice? So you just scroll down and just put the things over there. So, and these pop-ups that you see can grow bigger and bigger up to this size also, that consist of filters inside those things also, like a view inside a view. Okay, so a screen this big can come up with so many functionalities in it. There's kind of a simple pop-up that we are looking at. Okay, so we just pass the stuffs over here, the name and the absolute path and the relative path. Now we will come to the controller. On which view are we making it? On which view are we trying to make it? It's called as detail view. All right. So we are over here, detail view. On this, you're expecting the pop-up to come. All right. Let's go to the input field first, because it's the input field that should show up the pop-up. Okay. So let's go to the input field now and check what controls we have for it, properties we have for it. If you check, you'll find those things. This property is very important property that even if you remember, it really comes in handy sometimes. So it's a show value help property. Show value help. You can come and on the input field, let me just give a break over here like this. And show value help, and it says it was a boolean, and it's true. I'm still in the input field giving one property to the input field that's called a show value help. If you come back and refresh the page, you will see that a value help kind of a thing has come over here. When you click on this value help, it shows that it's clickable. And when you click on this value help, a pop-up will come. All right. But there isn't any magic. You just put this thing and things going to come. It's not like that. So we need to again go to the input field and look for the event, which will help us to bring the pop-up. Okay. And you see this value help request is the name of the event that's going to help me bring the pop-up. So you hit that value help request. So here is my value help request. All right. And okay, so I'm just going to take this thing, value help request, and I'll say F for help. You can name it anything. I'm just calling it F for help. Copy this F for help. And now where shall I go now? I got this thing. I just copied it, and I will go to the detail view controller somewhere over here after the on init. Let me make some space. Paste it and write a function, and then this thing, this is how the structure is. And here you're going to make you're going to write the function. Now this is kind of a different type of a structure that you would see over here. So if we start with if, and also if we need it, then we'll do that. First, let me just get the view object. Var o view. I don't know. I'll need it. When I need it, I'll use it. Var o view. This dot get view. Just simply, I'm just getting a view object. I'll tell you why I got it. Right now, we are just at this point. We'll say this dot fragment pop-up. Shall I write pop-up? I'm just saying the pop-up. Okay, don't get this pop-up. Okay, I'm just saying this dot pop-up. I'm just looking for a variable name or a dialog. this dot dialog. Okay, this might do the job. If this dot dialog, I just made this thing, see the structure I'm making, okay? Else, else. So if and else, okay? And now I'm going to just type this dot dialog dot open. This is what I did. You see, normally I start with the variable. Here you don't see any variable, okay? So now you have to answer me something. So what I was saying is that the framework knows about the pop-up that you click. And see, let's say I clicked on it, a pop-up came over here, all right? Now the framework knows about this pop-up. It's there in its memory. Why? Because I have appointed it with this, okay? What if this is not there? So every time when you come over here, it would try to load the fragment from the scratch. And it is not a good coding because you're putting unnecessary load on the memory because there is no, you erased everything from the memory once you run the code. The moment you put this to the controller by using this, the controller keeps that thing in its mind. So it does not take the pain of loading it. You get the point. Which is why what I'm saying is that this dot dialog, that means a property of the controller, dialog is there, open it, okay? What does it say? Else open it. That means if the dialog is not there, I'm putting a not now. If the dialog is not there, what should it do? Can you tell me? If the dialog is not there, what should it do? It should prepare the dialog. The dialog is not there. But if you have clicked once and the reference is already made to the controller, should it need to be, constructed again? If the dialog is already made on the first click, and you made that the responsibility of the controller, and you want to make a click again over here, do you want to load the dialog again? But let's say you switch the thing off or possibly navigate it to, I don't know about navigation, whether it would hold it or not. But then let's say you turn the thing off. Again, you came back. Computer does not hold that thing, what you did. So if you turn it on, okay, or reload, if you reload the whole controller, the computer doesn't know about what you did. So at that time, it has to load the thing. But when you are on the same view and clicking here and here and here, it does not have to take the pain of loading it again and again. How will you ascertain that thing? In order to ascertain that, you have to make it the property of the controller then. Give it the responsibility to the controller so that it can manage the things. Have I made my point clear? So the first point, it says that if the dialog is not there, load it. All right? What does it say? Load it. If it is there, because the first click has taken place, so it would not read this thing, right? It will just go to the else statement and open it, right? Because it's there. So if will not happen, it's just going to open it. If it is not there, then the code inside this will run. Do you understand what I'm saying? Unless it is true, how will it go inside the if block then? Unless the statement is true, if this is true, it will go inside the, if it's false, it will come over here and run this part of the code. Understand the point? This is why this is the crux over here. Now I'm going to create a dialog. So if it is not there, this dot dialog equals, there is a, why is it showing a mistake? Oh, because of that thing. Okay. So we need to go again to the part that's called as fragment. Come to the fragment, SAP UI core fragment. And here you can see this is the scaffolding for it. SAP UI core fragment. Put the scaffolding on the top. Put it. There's a mistake. Pick the scaffolding. On the top, do not forget to pass that as a function parameter over here. Control C I did and V. Okay. Now over here, there is a method also in the function. If you come over here, it's somewhere fragment.load. This is the method I'm going to use. Okay. And also, if you come to the bottom part, you will see the ways they are trying to construct it over here. So you can even go to the samples and you can get the fragment from there as well. So here we are just trying to create it ourselves. So what I did is that I create a fragment, passed it over here, and it says that, come over here, and says that fragment.load. This is the method. And here you need to pass something. This is how the fragment is going to load if you pass the parameters over here. And there is a dot then after the load is done. Then there is a dot then function, a promise. This is called as a promise. You're seeing, have you seen dot then before also? Yes? No. So just think it came for the first time, the way it came for the first time to me. But then, if you stay over here for some time, you can settle down on it. Okay. Dot then means it is what it says that once something is done, dot then, let me just write it first, function, and then you do this thing and make a partition over here. All right. So dot then function. It says that once you ascertain that it loads, wait for it, let it load. Once it loads, then do something. So over here, then means something. Wait for the fragment to load. And by passing whatever things you can pass over here. And once you know it's been loaded, then you hold that fragment inside the function then. So I'll say, oh, dialog, that's held. Oh, dialog. Okay, this is the thing I'm trying to do. So you see, over here in this piece of the code, I'm trying to load the fragment by passing the parameters. And there are the thing, it's called as the name. I think it's name only. The property, let me just go and check. It's only the name. Go to properties, type constructor, type, extend, target type, set type, fragment ID or SID, fragment ID, SID. It's the name, string. It's the name, okay? See, it's the name. So I'll try using name over there. Okay. So it's the name. So the name of the fragment is, of course, what's the namespace? Big namespace we have. Capgemini bash 12. Okay. So pass it over here, the name of the fragment. Dot, it's inside the fragments controller folder. Inside the fragments folder, and the name is pop up. Pop up. Okay. That's the name of the fragment. And put a comma and bring the controller object specifically inside it by passing this. So it is, these are the two parameters, and there is ID also that I'm not passing right now. When you do that, you need to, then the fragment is passed inside this O dialog. Now, once you load the fragment, guys, stop, please. Once you load the fragment using this thing by passing the name of the fragment, this thing passes over here as a O dialog. So what you will do is that this dot, the variable that you took, this dot dialog, should be now made as O dialog. And O view dot, there is a method add dependent, add dependent. I'm making this fragment a part of the view now. Which view? Detail view. Otherwise the view won't know there's a fragment. So O view add, and this is the special method add dependent. What? This dot, or this dot dialog. And here, let me just pause these things uselessly, just giving the errors. And then what you do, this dot dialog dot open it, all right? And the job is done. Okay, so let me first run it and see if our fragment is running, and then I'll again come back over here and discuss about this thing. Refresh the page, come to this part, hit over here, and there is no fragment. Inspect console. Cannot set properties of undefined setting dialog. Let me check. Where is the thing? Setting dialog. Hold on for a second then. So the problem over here is this. How will you make this a controller object? How? Yes, that equals this. Because we are inside this function, you see that? And again, we did the same, which is why as a caveat, people do that equals this. And there is another way to do that. Bind this. So we can even come to this point where this function ends. Okay, this function ends over here. At this point, you can do bind this. And now let's check if it's working. Bind this. So come, refresh the code. And now we will just go directly over there and come over here, hit it, and you see our first property is coming. Or what you can do is that instead of passing this bind this, I will just try doing that equals this time, okay? So var that equals this. So, you know, this variable that is holding the value of this, that's controller value, can be accessed anywhere. So which is why now I will do make that and that and that. and that. Okay, so many places I have to change that. That. Yes, let's see now. First the page, hit it, hit it. You see? So the replacement for that, although, listen, we don't need a that over here. We don't need a that over here, okay? This is means multiple this is are controller object. But once it goes inside the function, it becomes a function object over here, not the controller's object. So rather than making everything that equals this, you can just, and let's say another thing, let's say there was another function, dot then function inside this function. I'm just talking about a scenario where you have got another function inside this function. All right. So if that happens, we started from here, and we can go on with, let's say, another function inside one function. So for that also you need to bind this. So you will keep on binding this till it goes inside, whatever number of inside you go on. Or the easier way out is that you can make that equals this. Okay, so this is the easier way out. You can start your program using that equals this. Whether you're using a function inside a function or not, it's a good thing that to use that equals this. Okay, so otherwise you will run the mistake of the thing that I did again over here. You see that? Now what you can do is that what I'll do, this piece of code, let me just copy this piece of code like this over here, Control C, and I'm gonna not to this up to this part. I'm gonna copy it, and paste it. And now I can just go ahead and make this, 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 and we don't need this thing. Okay. This. And over here, I'm going to do bind this. Bind this. Okay, it's dot bind this. All right. So refresh the page once again. Hit it, and still working. Right now this time the controller has loaded this thing. Okay, this cancel this fragment. Now the controller knows that a fragment is there. So once the controller loads the fragment, so now tell me that this part of the code that you see over here is now useless. It's no more required. It was required to load the controller, the fragment once, that pop-up once, okay? Once it's loaded, this particular thing won't run. That means the dialog is there. This says no dialog, okay? And then it becomes, yeah, the dialog is there. Which part of if the dialog is there, will this code run, yes or no? If the dialog is there, will the code run? This piece of the code run? Say it. If the dialog is there, will this piece of code run? What will it do then? It will go to else. If the dialog is not there, this code is going to run. The first time this code runs, the computer keeps it in the memory because you have assigned this to it, made it a property of the controller. Now the controller knows this, the dialog is there. It directly runs this piece of code. Now coming to this part over here, it says that if it is not there, this variable, the global one, when the dialog is not there, use this fragment and that we have defined over here, and use the property load. And when you load, pass these parameters inside it, these properties inside it, like name, property, and controller. specifically to this fragment. After that, because you need to make the fragment specify that you have a controller role, a specific controller is assigned to you. Okay. And then once the loading is done, so this is then statement. Once this is done, then comes. Then now this is holding the dialog that is open, that is made, created, okay, created by it. Assign this dialog to this our variable, global variable, and also do one more thing. There is a view on which we are actually making the dialog. Add that as a dependent. So now the view also becomes known to, or the vice versa. The fragment also become known to the view. And this is how you pass this dialog. So the dialog is there. What you're saying is that, hey, view, there is a dialog. This is what it's saying. By using the method add dependent, this is the method you're using. And then open it. Finally, open the fragment. And the bind this that you understood what I said. Or if everything is there, don't run this piece of code. Directly run this piece of code. Now,